Hey dancers, welcome back to our channel. I'm Julie and I'm the owner and one of the instructors at Broche Ballet, a ballet school just for adults in Denver, Colorado. Today we are back with part 2 of our Holding Your Turnout series. This is going to be all about holding your turnout in the center. If you haven't already checked out part 1, go do that on our channel now. Before we get started, if you are having fun with us, please do make sure you're watching our videos every single Friday, liking them, subscribing to us, hitting the notification bell, and sharing them with all your friends. It is super, super, super helpful. So, turnout. We have to keep our turnout all the time, right? We're ballet dancers. That's what makes us ballet dancers. We have our legs turned out. If they were turned in, it could be so many other kinds of dancers. But we're ballet dancers, so this is our whole goal. This is our whole life. We live turned out. So how do we keep our turnout when we get off the bar? This is a really common question that we get, especially from people in the advanced beginner kind of a stage where you know a lot of vocabulary, your bar technique is starting to work, but when you get center, you feel like it's very disconnected from what you're learning at the bar. It can feel like a very different experience dancing in the center than dancing at the bar. That's because when we're at the bar, we have this whole secondary support system, right? We're teaching our body, which is like generally aligned in a parallel or almost parallel, maybe you're a little pigeon-toed or a little bit out to the side, but our body is mostly here, right? So our body doesn't believe us that this is a way that we can be stable and strong. It's a lot different when we go forward and back. We don't have our feet to catch us. So we have this secondary support system at the bar to kind of help us experiment and feel what it's like to stand with our legs facing sideways. Don't underestimate how difficult and confusing it is for your brain to basically retrain your motor functions to work turned out. So when we lose this support system of the bar, it's very complicated in the center because now we have to do all the same stuff we did at the bar without that support system. We're relying 100% on our body to be our support system, and that's a very different experience. So, not to mention the fact that center has so much going on. There's all the corners, there's both the arms, there's both the feet, there's all this weight transfer. It's a lot happening. So I want to start super simple with 2 main topics here. Number 1 is a step like a balancé, and number 2 is a ballet walk. These are really great places to kind of start practicing this, and at the end I'm going to show you just a little piqué that you can kind of feel keeping your turnout in a piqué to a sous-sus. You can feel keeping your legs rotated. So through these 3 examples, I want you to kind of start to feel and understand why it's so difficult, and then give you some strategies to think about how you can keep your legs turned out, maintain all your gorgeous technique when you get to the center in your ballet classes. So let's start off with a balancé. This is one that we get the most questions about. I mean, balancé in general is a super tricky step, and then also how to keep your legs turned out is generally the next question that comes up after people sort of start getting the step. So in a balancé, I'm just gonna leave my arms alone for now. If you wanna use them for balancé arms, you can, but just to not distract you and keep it simple, I'm gonna just leave my arms right here. So when we balancé, we have a lot of weight transfers that happen. And if you remember from part 1, weight transfers is a big culprit of when we lose turnout. Anytime you go from one foot to the other or take your body somewhere that's different, those are all opportunities for your body to lose turnout. It wants to return to center, to its neutral position all the time. So balancé has 3 weight transfers. We have to step onto one leg, we gotta step up into a little piqué in the back, and we gotta fall onto the other leg, on tombe onto the other leg. So that's a lot of times and opportunities you have to lose your turnout, and not to mention if you're doing many in a row, then you're going from side to side and your body's making a big shift. So let's identify those weight shifts and then talk about how you can work really hard to avoid losing your turnout in them. So if I was starting to go this way for a balancé and I went to step, there's my first opportunity. You see how my foot already wanted to turn in? We don't want to do that. We want to step onto a turned out leg. So we want to think about stepping with this heel coming forward as we come to coupe. That was super slow-mo so I could talk you through it, but we want to feel that step and both of the legs are turning out. You can see there's like a little diamond shape here between my knees. We want that shape. We don't want it to look like this or like this, where your legs have lost their turnout. Or here, right, you've got one leg turned in and one leg turned out. That's not an even shape of negative space. So we want to be able to step to a nice, even turned out place with both knees going out to the side and both angles the same. That's the first opportunity. The second is when we push back and then fall. So that push back second isn't so common to lose turnout, but often we lose it in the front foot because we really didn't want to be there in the first place with that foot turned out. And then when we push off, it wants to turn in as we push off into the balancé. But we don't want that to happen. We want this foot to stay rotated forward, and then as you come back down, that's our third place, turn it out again so that heel is forward. Then when this foot comes out for the next side, same thing here, step onto a turned out leg, turn this one out as you push up, and then turn it out as you come down. So that every time you're transferring your weight, you're really being mindful that your heels are always coming forward. So even if you lose a little bit every single time, there are so many opportunities to lose turnout that by the end, before you know it, you're almost in parallel, and then the step doesn't really work so well because your legs are right in front of the other. It doesn't work as well as when you're turned out, and that can be a little bit confusing. Second, let's talk about a ballet walk. So if we're doing a ballet walk, and we're just gonna walk across the room, right? We just do our little ballet walks here, stepping onto one leg from the other. This is basically a piqué onto flat, right? Like a piqué would be up here, but we just are piquéing onto flat. We're stepping onto a straight leg, pushing off with our other leg. It's kind of a similar mechanism to a piqué. And if you remember from part one, piqués are dangerous. Piqués are time when you're transferring your weight from one foot to the other, which is a chance for you to lose your turnout. And you have to fight really hard to not do that. So if I'm starting in B+, already this position, both my legs are turned out. Turn, turn, turn as much as you can. And again, I mentioned this many, many times in the first video. I'm not talking about forcing your turnout and making your toes go past where your knees go. That is not good for your knee joints. We really can't be doing it as adults. You need to make sure your knees and your toes always line up. So I'm not talking about getting extra turnout. I am talking about keeping what you have. Whatever you have, you want to keep it. Don't lose it. Don't get more of it. Maintain what you have. As you get stronger, that will open more, but you really don't want to be forcing it by just planting your feet in a too far turned out position. So we're in our B+, we're going to get ready to walk. We're already turned out. We're going to lift our back leg, and we're going to think about passing through the side of our leg, and then we're going to plie. There were already so many opportunities for this leg to want to turn in. As soon as we pick the leg up off the ground, it's like, oof, that would be a lot easier if we could turn it in. As soon as the leg starts coming through, then it wants to turn in. But we can't give in just yet. We have to keep it turned out. That heel comes forward. That heel is coming forward. This knee is turning out against it. As we step onto it, don't let it turn in. Your brain and your body would really rather that you step this way. You have so much more balance when your foot is facing forwards versus sideways. When you go forward over your sideways foot, there's no foot there to help catch you. So it feels weird to your body. But we gotta fight it. We're doing ballet walks, so we got to keep that leg turned out. So as you step, slowly transfer your weight, pull that heel forward, and then you know it, as you push off, this one's got to turn out. Because that one is going to step next. So turn it out, heel forward, heel forward, heel forward. Slowly transfer that weight, heel forward, toe ball heel. You know it, this one's got to turn out. Every single step of the way, you've got to be turning out the whole time. Way more times than you think you ought to be able to be turning out. You have to just constantly be thinking about it. The last and third thing we're going to do is a little piqué sous-sus. Then we're going to do a little pas de bras out of it. So if we did a piqué sous-sus, let's say we went plié, piqué sous-sus. So in that plié, piqué sous-sus, we're going to use all the principles from the ballet walks and from the balancé. So here we are in our plié. Both legs are turning. We're not here with the legs and knees facing forward. We've got this knee facing side and this leg turning out heel forward. As I step up to sous-sus, I'm not going to let this leg turn in, and I'm not going to let this leg turn in when it pushes off. So I step onto a turned out leg, turn this one out, and bring it in. So if they're both turned out when you get there, we don't want to end up in piqué sous-sus in parallel, unless that's how much turnout you have. But if you have more than that, you want to be able to keep it. Then we're going to do a little pas de bras. So we're up here in our turned out position with both our legs rotating. We're going to plie. So as we do that, That whole time is so many opportunities to turn your legs in. Both of them want to turn in. This leg wants to just go straight down into parallel, and so does this one. But you have to feel both heels coming forward as you come down. So heel forward and heel forward again. There's that diamond shape from the balancé that we want to be aiming for. We always want that position there. And then pas de bourrée, there's so many chances in pas de bourrée to turn in, just like balancé. When we step back, the leg really wants to turn in. When we step side, it really wants to turn in. And when we step front, it really wants to turn in. But we can't let it do any of those things. So we just did our piqué sous-sus, both heels forward. Plie, both heels forward. As we step up, you're gonna feel the back of the leg coming around the front of the leg. Step turned out. Heel forward, turn out. Heel forward on this leg. Slice that inner thigh across, heel forward. And then if you came down, you'd wanna have those heels coming forward. All right, dancers, so I hope that these 3 examples help you see all the times that you wanna be really mindful of your body's natural tendencies. These are tendencies that everybody has in their body, that the point of ballet training is to figure out how to avoid and to keep your legs turning out through an entire dance or combination. It's this level of detail that we're talking about that gives the precision and the precise look of making all of this natural. When your legs will turn into parallel, then it gives the look that this was not a natural place to be. Because your legs turn in on the transitions between things, the audience can pick up that it's not natural to have your legs turned out. So this level of precision on these 3 steps, which kind of carry across all kinds of different things, really helps you feel how many places you have to think about and be mindful of your turnout. As you're going through combinations, the teacher gives you the combination. Take a quick moment to think, what are the potential pitfalls in this combination? Where might I lose my turnout? Where should I work a little bit harder to make sure I have turnout going into something? Really set those milestones up in your head before the combination starts. Try to picture all the places where your body would probably want to turn in again, and make sure that you focus really hard on keeping your legs turned out. That level of awareness and mindfulness is what's going to help get you to the next level with your center work and having your bar technique transition to your center work. Well, I hope this helps. I hope you've enjoyed this series a lot. I love turnout. It is super fun. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And until next time, take care.